Howdy folks, and welcome back to my channel. A few things different tonight before we get started. Number one, I changed the channel's name. It's no longer Captain Evil Stopper or whatever it was that I originally had it as when I was just using it for YouTube music and all that good stuff. It's now Full Metal Bastards Studios and Productions. And the other thing you'll notice is I'm actually hands-free on the recording device there, the phone, so I can actually use my hands to do a better review, because some of my previous videos were a little trash. So I actually have free hands to actually use and show off stuff that we're talking about in the videos. Alright, so what are we talking about tonight? Awesome. awesome stuff. Tanks, the modern age, M1 versus T64 starter set, and Leopard II tank expansion. Now, spoiler alert, I've already opened these boxes up, I've gone through them, sorted cards out by unit type, nationality, etc., etc., named cards, crew cards, all that good stuff. So you're not going to see exactly what you would see upon opening the box, but you're going to get a close enough representation of it. So let's get started. I'll be getting a better setup for shooting on in the future. So, on the cover, what do you see? Well, you see a T-64, its little commander with its dishka of communism, laying waste to some German village while a Leopard I tank burns behind it and a Mil-24 Hind comes in for the kill. No M1 tanks on the cover, and shockingly enough, no Leopard I tanks and no Hinds in the box. Just an M1 and two C-64s. But you got a complete modern tank game inside. And then on the side, you know, it says, oh, here's an Abrams tank included. Kind of looks like a tank track. Oh, here's two T-64s included. And on the back side, it tells you all kinds of good stuff. It tells you that you've got a 28-page rule book, 3 plastic tanks, 1 Abrams, 2 C-64, 12 dice, 16 movement destroyed tokens, 28 damage tokens, 4 objective tokens, 2 measuring arrows, 10 model identification tokens, 2 helicopter elevation tokens, 1 advantage token, 2 cardboard forests, 4 cardboard buildings, 30 tank cards. 30 tank cards for 3 tanks? We'll get to that. 6 helicopter cards for 0 helicopters. Again, we'll get to that. 5 platoon cards, 15 crew cards, 5 hero crew cards, 17 upgrade cards, 32 damage cards. And then it says, you know, your little disclaimer here, model supplied unpainted and requires assembly, glue and paint not included. Contents may vary. Right. Alright, so inside, you've got the Abrams sprue. Now, let me tell you what's on the sprue. Alright, because in your unit card stack here, you're going to get 3 Abrams cards. You're going to get an M1 Abrams, you're going to get an IP M1 Abrams, and you're going to get an M1A1 Abrams. Now, what's the difference? Alright, check it out. Where are they at? You see this gun barrel right here? That is a 105mm gun barrel. That's what your M1 Abrams and your IP M1 Abrams are going to use. This little stowage bustle right here that goes on this piece right here, the turret, this is for your stock M1 Abrams tank. This is your first production, early type, whatever you want to call it, however you want to classify it. I'm not a tanker, I'm an artilleryman, so I don't know shit about tanks. Early Abrams. This one right here is what you use to build it as an IP M1. These two right here. IP meaning improved protection. This was the program that made the M1's turret nigh impregnable. Of course, before, you know, the Tusk kits came along and all that good stuff. But pretty much makes it have a higher armor. But it still had the same 105mm gun. So these bustles, 105, makes IP M1. 105, these bustles, makes M1. To make the M1A2, no, M1A1 Abrams, as you were, you use this gun barrel. That's the 120mm cannon, and it uses the same turret as the IP M1. So now you're probably thinking, okay, well, I have one Abrams tank here. How can I make it to where I can use this one model for all 3? And I'm going to be honest with you, you can't. You can't, because the closest thing you're going to be able to do is take this part right here, which is the gun mantle, somehow magnetize it with like really small magnets to be able to swap out the cannon barrels. But even then, you're not going to be able to swap out the turret bustles. So do you want to go the Zavita route and get the really crappy, terrible Zavita Abrams? Or do you just want to buy more Abrams tanks, like say the Abrams platoon deal from the actual Team Yankee game, and then kit them out as you see fit? Now, that choice is on you. Other things included on this sprue, you've got two 50 cals of Freedom, you've got two 7.62 machine guns of Freedom. You'll only use one 50 cal of Freedom, but they give you extras because these things break really easily. You have some additional stowage in the form of jerry cans, ammo crates, spare road wheels. I don't think it has spare track links, does it? Yeah, it has spare track links. Those right there are spare track links. It's a good kit. I've built a couple of these for the actual Team Yankee game itself. It goes together really easily. I've heard complaints that none of these kits have numbers on the runners to tell you what parts number they are. But honestly, you don't need that. If you can follow simple instructions, which I'm about to show you the assembly guides, they're really easy to follow. If you can follow those assembly guides, you can get an M1 Abrams tank built in like 10 minutes. Super easy. Great tank, just one of the best. T-64, one of two. Oh, it should also be noted that while this is molded in green, molded in green, and the Leopard is molded in green, they're different shades of green. I guess this is like American G.I. Joe green, so if you want to have like a G.I. Joe army, I guess, or a plastic Army Man army, this is Army Man green. Yay. T-64. You have no variation with this tank whatsoever. There's only one T-64 variant, and that's the T-64. Oh, I lied. You can put mine plows on it. But as far as the tanks game is concerned, mine plows are practically useless. They're just there to make your tank look cool. There's no mines in tanks, at least yet. Comes with, let's see here, you've got the fuel drums, smoke drums, whatever it is. I don't know my Soviet tanks really well. The various bits, the unbogging tool, I think that's what that is. I've heard they just strapped logs to their tanks to help unbog them, but hey, you know, it's whatever. The turret, the skirts, rubber skirts, the big gun, it's like a 115 or something like that. Two Dishkas of communism. Again, kind of sad that these tanks have them, it shows you building the tanks with the machine guns. Excuse me, but you can't use the machine guns. There's no rating to use the machine guns against helicopters. Whereas in the Team Yankee game, you can use your machine guns against helicopters. Matter of fact, sometimes you want to fire your machine guns before you fire your anti-air, because a 50 cal could get through. But be that as it may, I haven't built any of these. I've actually not built any Soviet equipment. But it looks to be a pretty cool tank. Looks like it'll go together pretty easily, and I'll probably just put the mine plows on it just for the sake of variety or something. But overall, looks pretty good. Alright, comes with some dice. You have 6 red dice for the Soviets, 6 blue dice for America/NATO. These are actually the first things I busted open because I bought this box, realized I left my dice at home, and I had a Team Yankee game coming up, so I was like, hey, we're going to use the communist and the capitalist dice, so let's use them. And 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 4. Yeah, out of 12 dice, they actually roll pretty good. I like these dice. They might replace my West German and my Marine Corps dice because they roll pretty good, and I'm just weird like that. Damage deck, your critical hit and damage deck, essentially, from what I've been able to find out, is practically the same as your World War II damage deck. A lot of lucky hits. Oh, ammo explosions, damaged equipment, injured crew. damaged engine, jammed mechanisms, damaged mobility. It's all there. And like I said, from what I understand, it's the same as your World War II deck. So if you're not sure about this and you want to download the rules off the Gale Force 9 website, go to the previews, screenshot, Photoshop the cards that they threw up already, and you already have Tanks World War II, you probably can get by with using this damage deck. I don't think there's anything, no damaged infrared or nothing crazy like that. Damaged optics. Ooh, you have optics in World War II as well, so, you know, good deal, good deal. Set that off to the side. This is your upgrade deck, and like I said, I went on ahead and sorted all the cards out before I filmed this, but 2 of your American characters, and I think the 1 single Soviet character, are actually found in the damage deck. Why they did that, I don't know, but you've got the American named Abrams tank, Alpha 66, which is named for the actual tank in Team Yankee. Sean Bannon, of which the Team Yankee story, you know, revolves around his crew, these guys. So right here, we've got all we need to upgrade an Abrams tank, and then one Soviet card for the T-64s. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the Warsaw Pact in this game, but it would have been really nice to have some, you know, more Russian stuff to trick out the T-64s. But then again, in the World War II tanks game, it was 1 Panther versus 2 Shermans. So I guess I can kind of see where they were going with it. Kind of want to make, you know, the lone tank be like powerful, and then the 2 other tanks just have to rely on their weight of numbers, because 2 is good weight of numbers right there, you know. Looks like you have a couple of different types of commanders, loaders, and drivers apiece. Aggressive commander, altruistic commander. I'm never going to not trip up on that. Driver, loader. You have an aggressive, you have a resourceful, and then you have a clever loader. So you have 3 different types of loaders to choose from right out of the box. A cunning, racing, and determined driver. Oh, and a risky driver. So you've got 4 drivers. Correction, 5 loaders. Hasty loader and risky loader. Bloodthirsty gunner. 6 loaders, I should say. Focus load. I'm just going to lay them out. This is ridiculous. Okay. Okay, I think we got through them. Guys, we got through them. You have 1 gunner. You have a bloodthirsty gunner. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 loaders. Aggressive, resourceful, clever, hasty, risky, focused, and precise. 5 drivers, cunning, racing, determined, risky, defensive, and you have 2 commanders, altruistic and aggressive. I don't really know what they do right now. Haven't actually gotten to get a game in, but, you know, here we are. So let's get these guys up, get them out of the way. I mean, technically you've got, you know, more than just 2 commanders, because you also have Sean Bannon and Yuri Prochenkov, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's get these gathered up and set over here. Come here. So then the rest of this particular deck of cards is going to be your upgrade cards. You have medical kit, fire extinguisher, protective ammo, toolkit, bigger hammer, supercharger. I know some folks for the World War II game like to modify their tanks and make them look like orc tanks. So if you're trying to do that with Team Yankee, the red ones go faster. Willie Pete. Oh, smoke rounds. They never let you use Willie Pete for melting infantry. Sad. Spearhead, ambush, man pads, not to be confused with maxi pads. These are man pads. Man portable air defense system. This card is pretty cool. What you get to do is you get to equip this to a tank. Now the key word here is tank. Humvees are considered tanks. Well, Humvees only get to shoot 4 missile dice. They only get to shoot 4 dice at tanks or helicopters. You drop this on there, now they're getting to shoot 6 dice. If that's even legal, I don't know. I'm going to run it until they say it's not legal. But the point is you can also put this on your tanks. You can put this on your Leopards. You can put this on your T-72s. So now your Abrams tank has a bunch of soldiers, Marines, whatever, just chilling on there with anti-air and anti-tank missile launchers. So if you're into doing some cool modeling and stuff, and this is going to be a go-to card for you like it is for me, deadgum, you're probably going to want to pick up a couple of Milan launchers and some red-eye teams and just kind of have them chilling on the tank. It's almost like when you was playing Halo 2 or Halo 3 and you give the Marines the rocket launchers and you get in the Scorpion tank and then they get on the Scorpion tank and now you're like driving around, you know, you're driving around doing Scorpion tank stuff and your Marines are shooting rockets every which way. Like, that was pretty cool. We'll get to that M109 in a second. Camouflage netting. It's going to give you some cool modeling opportunities as well. Might do a video on how to make camouflage netting. I don't know, I haven't made it yet, but I got a couple of different ideas on how to do it. Improvised armor. That and applique and ERA armor. Those are going to be pretty cool. As far as modeling opportunities are concerned, improvised armor, I mean, pretty much you're just slapping extra armor plating on the tank. Matter of fact, if you want your Abrams tanks and your M113s to look like they were chilling in Ramadi, Iraq in 2004 when they were, you know, welding and bolting armor plates onto everything to prevent IEDs, well, here's a card that'll justify that. Same thing with applique armor and ERA armor, but ERA is that blocky style armor, just keep that in mind. Extra ammunition and liquid courage. Extra ammunition. Oh, this is like a reroll card. Liquid courage, right, because we go into battle, you know, in the middle of a firefight, just crack open a bottle, you know. That's what we do, right? It's not what we do. At least not what I was told we do. I don't know. So that's that particular deck of cards. Let's keep this train going. Now this is the unit card deck. I've already ordered through it by nation and then by unit type. So 1st Panzer for the West Germans, and you get this is all included in the box. Leopard 1, Leopard 2, Martyr, PAH, Team Yankee, Americans. You get the Team Yankee card. You get the... Anyway, sorry about that. I had someone walk through the door. M60 Patton tank, M1 Abrams, IPM1 Abrams, M1A1 Abrams, Humvee tow, M163 VADS, M901 ITV, LAV-25, LAV-AT. Quick shout out to Jason over at Mechhead Studios. Yes. So even though the previews that they put out didn't have the LAV-25 and the LAV-AT, both cards are included in the box. So yes, Americans have another anti-air and anti-tank option. I'll explain that in a second. Cobra. French, you get the, yeah, I don't speak French, so this is going to be really butchered. The Curiosity Squadron. Yeah, the Curiosity Squadron. They got a pretty cool ability. French AMX-30, which gets to shoot at helicopters because it has a coaxial 20mm cannon. AMX ALF-1, which is the only artillery piece in the game. Kind of irks me a little bit. AMX-10P, it's like the French version of the Martyr, but yeah, it's the French version of the Martyr. French get 2 helicopters. They get the Gazelle 20mm and the Gazelle Hot. The Gazelle 20mm probably is always going to get to shoot first with that initiative of 10. Then the Brits, you have the Berlin Brigade, which for some reason in a Battlefront or a Gale Force 9 game, the Brits always get like mad defensive bonuses. I guess the Brits just like to stand and deliver or something. I don't know. I prefer to outmaneuver and outflank and friggin' take the fight to the enemy. Anyways, you get the Chieftain Stillbrew, a boatload of really small tanks. I think most of these can actually be built from the same kit. You have the Scorpion, Scimitar, Spartan MCT, Swingfire, Striker, and then you have the Lynx helicopter. And then the Soviets, and this was a point of contention for a bunch of folks. You have the Red Banner card. You have the T-55. This is going to be your cheap horde piece. This is your TIE Fighter. T-55 AM2. This is your slightly updated TIE Fighter, but still a cheap horde piece. T-62, same thing. T-62 Mike, same thing. T-64, excellent. Only one card. One card, 2 T-64s, 3 Abrams cards, 1 Abrams tank. See the problem here? T-72, BMP-1, BMP-2, Hind. About flew out of my hand there. Get it? Because it's a helicopter, you know? Alright, so that's it for the unit cards. I'll reorder those later. Let me reach over here right quick, actually, and grab my Hind. Hind! Alright, cool. That's going to be important for later on, maybe. Alright, next you have the rule book. It's a 25-page rule book. I mean, it's a rule book. What more could you want? It shows you forces of World War III, the Americans, Soviets, French, British, West Germans. Can also technically be taken as a painting guide on how, you know, to paint your tanks up if you so chose to. Components, what the different tokens and stuff means, how you interact with forests, buildings, terrain, helicopter movement, firing arcs, how to shoot around terrain, because this is like that, oh, what's that movie called where they're like curving bullets around the corner and stuff? Yeah, you can do that in this game. You can't do that in this game, I'm just fucking around. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I guess tanks do actually get to shoot at helicopters, whether they have an anti-air attack or not. Apparently, all tanks are considered to have a built-in anti-air rating, so all tanks are going to roll 3 attack dice when shooting at helicopters, regardless of their base attack number. Well, that kind of sucks. That would make sense for a 7.62 to drop 3 dice, but why doesn't a 50 cal drop 4 dice? 50 cals are more powerful than 7.62s. Oh well, whatever. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Crits, command phase, special rules. What does it say about missiles? You can't target. Okay, missiles. They don't benefit from the Final Fury rule. Well, what's the Final Fury rule? I keep hearing about this rule. Even if a tank has reached its damage capacity and will be destroyed at the end of its turn, it can still shoot when its turn and the initiative order comes around. Oh, kind of like Battletech. All your damage stacks and then applies at the end of the phase. Gotcha. Missiles in this game operate differently from the Team Yankee game. You're going to drop X number of dice against tanks or helicopters. Arming distance, so instead of 8 inches, it's within close range. Slow firing, so you don't get the Final Fury rule, so your Humvees are just going to die. Shooting on the move, a model with missiles has a reduced chance of hitting based on its speed token. Oh, and it even has a lovely little table here that will tell you what you do. If you're stationary, you shoot as normal. Speed 1 only scores a hit on a 5 and a critical hit on a 6. Speed 2, you can't score crits, only hits on a 6. And Speed 3, you can't shoot. So keep that in mind with your little Humvees there, Jason. You got missions, your first game, 1 scenario, and a quick reference guide on the back. That's pretty cool. Remember I told you if you can follow simple instructions, you can get these tanks built without having numbers on the parts runners? Look how easy that is. Oh my goodness. Just look at it, and then 10 minutes later you're going to have a T-64. And then 5 minutes later you're going to have another T-64. And then, if you're building an assembly line of T-64s, Leopard 1s, what have you, you're just going to fly through them. Abrams, however, a little bit different. It only shows you how to build the M1. It does not show you what parts to use for the IPM1 or the M1A1, but just remember the thicker gun is the 120mm cannon, And the longer turret bustles are going to be what you put on the IP turret or the M1A1 turret. So just keep that in mind. Oh yay, we got an advert here for Team Yankee, the Hammerfall box, which is literally this box, but with less dice, different terrain. Well, I think the terrain's different. Different rule set, different cards, but the same 3 models. So if you're wanting to know if you can use this tank starter box to jump into Team Yankee, yes and no. Yes, in the sense of you're going to have an Abrams, you're going to have 2 T-64s. No, in the sense of you have the rules and everything you need to play tanks, but not Team Yankee. And then the backside, of course, has a advert for Flames of War Mid-War version 4, the Stalingrad expansion. I might get into that, and I might do the Russians, because all those Lend-Lease tanks look pretty cool, and KV tanks. That was my first heavy tank on World of Tanks.
I know everything about tanks because I play World of Tanks Blitz, and War Thunder.
Yeah, right. Terrain, double-sided big wood. Double-sided tokens and buildings, including the McBurger Taco King Bell, the factory, the warehouse, the factory, and some, I think this is the department store. No, it's some building. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters anyway. Ruined terrain, and then some houses, and I think that's the train station for real. And then you have a smaller double-sided wood. You have your measuring arrows. I guess these are the initiative tokens, tactical advantage, and the helicopter markers. They fit in on the helicopter bases. So, is this a good buy? Yes. I think I paid like $25. No, I think it retails for $25. I paid less than that. So it was a pretty good deal. I got an Abrams tank that I can fiddle around with. I got the cards for the West Germans. I got the damage deck. I got the upgrade deck. So I can start running my West Germans right now. Check this out. Got my Leopard 1. Got my Leopard 2. Oh, bring them back. Got my Leopard 1. Got my Leopard 2. Got my Martyr. And where are you? Got my bow. Boom. Here's my West German army. Locked, cocked, ready to rock for the fatherland. But I can't run my Lukes. I can't run my Luke's reconnaissance vehicle, my Lars rocket artillery, my Gepard Death Star anti-air tank, my Roland anti-air tank, or my dedicated anti-tank assets. Because Battlefront didn't make these models in plastic. They only made them in resin and metal. So when you go to play tanks, you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna break out my Gepards so my West Germans will have some anti-air. Well, you don't get that. You will not get that. Your only anti-air is going to come in the form of bows shooting at helicopters with missiles, Martyrs with Milan mounts shooting at missiles, or your tanks using their built-in 3-dice anti-air attack. Golf clap, golf clap. Meanwhile, America gets 3 different Abrams tanks. The M60, pretty much a slower Leopard 1. Dedicated anti-air in the form of the VADs, which is also going to eat BMPs up like my Gepards would do if I could run my Gepards. Dedicated anti-tank in the form of the M901 Hammerhead, LAV-25 AT Hammerhead, Humvee TOW. By the way, those 3 units are also going to be able to shoot at helicopters, so you effectively have 4 dedicated anti-air units. Oh, and the Cobra. I don't have a Cobra on hand. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I, as a West German player, only have 4 units to run in the game. Yeah, that sucks. Like, can't run my M109s. Well, I couldn't run this anyway. This is the Zavita M109, but British players, American players, all NATO players that have access to the M109, we don't get it. Matter of fact, the only folks in this game that have artillery are the French. Russians don't get it. The Czechs and the Poles won't get it. The Brits, Americans, nobody gets artillery but the French. So, yay, Napoleonics. We get artillery. No one else does, because reasons. That's not really cool. I don't like that. There's actually a lot of really fun and interesting equipment that's left out in the Tanks Modern Age game because of Battlefront's decision to only do the plastic models. So, I mean, it's worth it, though. I mean, $10 for a single Leopard II. Well, that's pretty cool. Oh, and by the way, you get a Leopard II. It's a very easy tank to put together. This is going to be the 11th one I've built. You get another Leopard II card, so we're good to go. And then you get the Leopard II, you get the German cards, I should say. You get Ernst Müller, Klaus Catalan, and the Homeland Defender card, which actually, when you use that Final Fury rule, you get to roll an extra die. So that's pretty cool. It's like the West Germans are like, no, we're tired of people running over us. We're tired of the East Germans, and we're tired of the Russians. We're gonna take the fight to them. You also get the Adaptive card, and you get the Liquid Courage card, so you get an extra Liquid Courage while you're at it. So, I don't know, I guess that's because Germans drank beer. Stereotyping Germans much. I reckon I'm going to have to go out and get the rest of the Wave 1 tanks, because apparently there's cards being put in there that aren't in the starter box, and much like X-Wing, you're not going to be able to get unless you buy a certain model. But I'm okay with that, because I do want to get, you know, at least one of each of the tanks, and I'd like to get some of the extra cards, and probably also run a little French squadron, just so that I can bring some artillery to the fight. My final conclusions on this, like I said, it's a great game. I think it's going to be a great game anyway. I've got more than enough stuff to use for it, and yeah, hopefully we can get a game bat wrap up on here sometime. Anyways, this video's run a lot longer than I wanted it to. Y'all take care and have a good night.